Michelle thought suing John Kennedy would end his career. But just seconds into the trial, Kennedy's witness dropped a bombshell so powerful, Michelle's entire legacy shattered right before the world's eyes. Michelle strode into the grand courtroom, her heels clicking sharply against the polished marble floor, each step exuding an unshakable confidence. The morning sunlight streamed through the towering windows, casting long beams across the oak-paneled walls, illuminating the packed gallery of reporters, legal analysts, and curious onlookers. This was no ordinary case, it was a high-stakes showdown that had captured the attention of the nation. Michelle, a renowned attorney with a reputation for dismantling her opponents, believed this was her moment. Today, she would not only defeat John Kennedy, a formidable figure known for his charm and unrelenting legal prowess, but also cement her legacy as a titan in the public eye. Her legal team, a group of sharp-minded attorneys in crisp suits, sat poised at the plaintiff's table, their thick binders stacked high like a fortress of evidence. Every page was meticulously prepared, every argument honed to perfection. No detail, they believed, had been left uncovered. The gallery buzzed with anticipation. Whispers rippled through the crowd, some marveling at Michelle's audacity in challenging Kennedy, others speculating that he had finally met his match. For weeks, the media had framed this as a clash of titans, a battle not just of legal arguments but of personalities, legacies, and power. Michelle's supporters saw her as a fearless crusader, while Kennedy's camp viewed him as untouchable, a man who thrived under pressure. The tension in the room was palpable, a storm brewing beneath the surface of formalities. But what happened next turned the entire courtroom upside down, shattering expectations and rewriting the narrative in an instant. The judge, a stern figure with wire-rimmed glasses and an air of authority, banged his gavel to signal the start of proceedings. His voice cut through the murmurs, "We will now hear from the first witness." All eyes shifted to Kennedy's side of the courtroom, where his legal team sat with an almost unnerving calm. The lead attorney, a silver-haired veteran with a reputation for surgical precision, nodded subtly. From the back of the room, a figure emerged, a witness whose presence alone seemed to shift the atmosphere. The man was unassuming, dressed in a plain suit, his demeanor quiet but resolute. He moved to the stand with measured steps, his face betraying no emotion. The room fell silent, the weight of anticipation so thick it seemed to press against the walls. Reporters leaned forward, pencils poised over notepads. Michelle's team exchanged quick glances, their confidence unshaken but curious. The witness was sworn in, his voice steady as he stated his name and occupation, a mid-level accountant who had worked for a firm tangentially connected to the case. On the surface, he seemed an unlikely figure to alter the course of such a high-profile trial. Michelle leaned back slightly in her chair, her arms crossed, a faint smile playing on her lips. Her team had prepared for every possible angle, or so they thought. The accountant's testimony, they assumed, would be a minor footnote, easily countered by their mountain of evidence. Then, it happened, in less than 10 seconds, with just a handful of words, the witness delivered a revelation so explosive it sent shockwaves through the courtroom. "The financial records were falsified," he said, his voice clear and unwavering. "And I have proof." He reached into a folder and produced a single document, a ledger, stamped and dated, that directly contradicted the cornerstone of Michelle's case. The room erupted into chaos. Papers shuffled frantically as Michelle's attorney scrambled to process what they'd just heard. Gasps and murmurs filled the air, growing louder as the implications sank in. The judge pounded his gavel, demanding order, but the damage was done. Michelle's carefully constructed argument, built on the premise of airtight financial evidence, collapsed like a house of cards in a windstorm. The ledger, as it turned out, was a bombshell. It revealed that the financial discrepancies Michelle had accused Kennedy's company of orchestrating were, in fact, fabricated by a third party with ties to her own legal strategy. The witness, in his calm and methodical testimony, explained how he had uncovered the tampering during a routine audit, and how he had preserved the original records, knowing their significance. His words were precise, devastating, and irrefutable. Each sentence landed like a sledgehammer, dismantling months of preparation in mere moments. Michelle's face told the whole story. The confidence that had defined her entrance drained away, replaced by a flicker of disbelief, then panic. Her jaw tightened, her eyes darted toward her lead attorney, who was flipping through binders with a look of desperation. Her team, once a picture of unity and strength, now appeared shell-shocked, their carefully crafted case shattered before it could even take shape. The gallery, sensing the shift, began to whisper furiously. Reporters scribbled notes, their pens scratching like a swarm of insects. The air crackled with the realization that this was no longer a trial, it was a spectacle, a public unraveling. Kennedy, seated at the defendant's table, remained composed, but a faint smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. His attorneys, sensing victory, leaned back in their chairs, their expressions a mix of satisfaction and restraint. For them, the accountant's testimony was not a surprise but a masterstroke, a carefully timed move that had been held in reserve until the perfect moment. As the witness stepped down, the courtroom descended into a controlled chaos. Michelle's team requested a recess, their voices strained as they tried to salvage what was left of their strategy. The judge granted it, but his stern gaze suggested he knew the case was effectively over. During the break, Michelle sat motionless, staring at the table, her hands clasped tightly together. The fire that had driven her was gone, replaced by the cold reality of defeat. For the first time in her storied career, she realized the battle was lost, not just in the courtroom, but in the court of public opinion.